think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me?
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd?
There's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now. That's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd. I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late.
Bud's been the best man for 12 years, but no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the best man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fight.
Terence Crawford confidently answered Floyd Mayweather's claim, saying he would beat him even in his prime. He explained that history will remember him for facing every challenge and never avoiding any fighter. Crawford made it clear that no one can say he ducked opponents, and if a fight with Mayweather ever happens, he wouldn't back down from it either.
Started going like this, and then that's when Floyd started taking over.
What do you want your legacy to be like when your career is all said and done? What do you want people to remember you for?
Oh man, everybody's asking me the question. I always be like, man, it's whatever it's their opinion. Everybody gonna have a different opinion of Terence Crawford, but one thing they can't say is that I ducked anyone. I fought everyone that was available to fight.
Dan Raphael believes Terence Crawford has already done enough in his career to secure his legacy, even if he never fights again. He explained that Crawford has cleaned out divisions, unified titles, and beaten top fighters without ever looking weak. At this stage, Raphael says it's not about proving himself anymore, but about protecting his legacy and enjoying the respect he has earned. In his view, Crawford's achievements have gone beyond what people expected, and chasing more fights won't change his place in history. His recent dominance alone is enough to remember him as one of the greats.
What does Terence Crawford do now? Like, what's the next thing that he does? Because you look around and go, is the only way that he really gets that, maybe that ultimate chance if he goes up again? And do you say, what do you do?
I don't quite. Yeah, I mean, he was asked those questions at the press conference. He made two things clear. One, he's not going back to 154, and I say that because some people suggested about possibly pursuing a fight with Ennis, who has his debut in the weight class coming up.
Yeah.
That's probably unlikely. He's not going to go back down in weight. And I mean, no disrespect to Ennis, but Ennis is a guy that's known within the diehards of boxing. He's not in any way known beyond the boundaries of the hardcore boxing fan. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense for a lot of different reasons for him. Not to say I wouldn't, as a boxing fan, enjoy watching the fight. So, yeah. But I don't think he's going back to 154. He was asked about like a Benavides at 175, and he acknowledged like that guy's really big. I mean, that's maybe a bridge too far. He already went up to two weight classes to fight Canelo at 68. So it feels to me like he can either stay at 168 and defend this championship and look to the same types of names that were being thrown around as the types of guys that would have been in the mix for Canelo had he won the fight. And he's going to have mandatories. Obviously, that's the first thing they'll have to look at. I mean, I don't know if he's not going to necessarily keep the belts if he's forced into a mandatory. He doesn't need the belts at this point, but there might be something appealing to him. For example, and Billy had a great fight on the undercard, although he's been ordered to fight a rematch in that fight. Mm-hmm. That was, fight of the year against Lester Martinez, candidate for fight of the year.
Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez has sparked debate, with many comparing it to Floyd Mayweather's victory over Canelo. Mayweather beat a younger, less experienced Canelo, while Crawford defeated a more seasoned version of the Mexican star, making some wonder if Crawford should be ranked higher. However, Luke Thomas points out that Mayweather became a superstar much earlier, fighting top opponents at a young age, while Crawford's rise was delayed due to lack of promotion and recognition. Because of this, Thomas argues that even though Crawford's win was more impressive in performance, it doesn't automatically put him above Mayweather in history, since timing and career paths also matter in these comparisons.
was a masterclass. One guy with outrageous skill offensively and defensively, simply making another very good fighter look lesser than. This was the other part. The people who watch MMA and then try to watch boxing through an MMA lens, I don't know what to tell you. You're actually missing the point. The kind of specific details and the depth of the technical ability far surpasses even what you can get at the highest level of MMA, because they don't have that level of skill. There is no equivalent in MMA to Bud Crawford, because there cannot be. Bud is the most talented boxer I've seen since Mayweather.
I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
To be fair to Floyd, he obviously had hand problems in his whole welterweight run, and it's why he took that long stretch off in 2007, 2008, 2009 area, and Floyd's brilliance to be able to be just as great in some ways at that age. We're not here trying to dunk on Floyd. When you get a victory like this, right now, straight up, Luke, you could say that there's not a welterweight, junior middleweight, or maybe even super middleweight. When you could say over like a 4-division stretch, Bud, cut down to any of these weights, that there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now, that's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd, I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao, because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the terms in there. It's just insane.
Buddy McGirt praised Crawford's win over Canelo, calling it complete domination. He said Crawford controlled the fight from start to finish, never letting Canelo set the pace or use his usual aggressive style. McGirt believes the victory was so clear that a rematch isn't needed, as the difference in skill was obvious. He added that by beating a fighter of Canelo's level, Crawford has finally secured the legacy he worked for, earning a signature win that proves his greatness. For McGirt, Crawford has nothing left to prove. His dominant performance against Canelo has cemented his place among boxing legends.
Yes.
Like, what fight were they watching?
Right.
I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is. And you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those scorecards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. I mean, he's fought everybody, he's did everything, but you know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So, if you're going to have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
When comparing Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather, many analysts point to Floyd's mental strength as the key factor that sets him apart. They agree that Crawford is highly skilled, able to switch stances, adjust during fights, and break down opponents with ease. But Mayweather had an extra edge. He controlled fights not just physically but also mentally, making opponents lose focus and abandon their game plans. This psychological advantage is seen as the main difference between them. While Crawford's talent is unquestioned, Floyd's ability to dominate both the ring and the minds of his rivals is what boxing historians believe keeps him a step above.
Hagler, Hearns. I've seen Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Like, I've seen all of those things, and those fights were wars. Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's the most skilled boxer I've ever seen. Bud, and this is just my opinion, is the baddest man I've seen wear boxing gloves. And here's why I say that.
RC.
Here's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough, Floyd's not a bad man, but there was domination inside that ring we saw this weekend. And there's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights. And he was Errol Spence.
For more than 10 years, Terence Crawford has shown his skills, but his quiet personality and lack of showmanship kept him from getting the attention other fighters did. Unlike those who promoted themselves loudly, Crawford chose to let his performances in the ring do the talking. This earned him respect from true boxing fans, but it limited his mainstream recognition in the early part of his career. Only after big fights with Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez has the wider public started to recognize his greatness. Still, some critics feel this recognition came too late, as Crawford is now in the later stages of his career. While he can still add to his legacy, the chance to build long-lasting mainstream fame is smaller, leaving people to wonder how different things might have been if he had been given the spotlight earlier.
How great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that, and Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras equally.
Floyd Mayweather has often been criticized for not giving credit to other great fighters, even refusing to say that Muhammad Ali, seen by many as the greatest fighter of all time, greatest of all time, ranks above him. Now, with Terence Crawford achieving big wins like his dominant victory over Canelo, people are starting to place Crawford in the same conversations as Floyd. For someone as protective of his legacy as Mayweather, this is hard to accept. Critics believe Floyd wants to remain the only benchmark of boxing greatness, and when another fighter rises to that level, it hurts his pride. This has led many to see him as jealous, as if he cannot stand the idea of anyone else being celebrated on his level, which creates tension in how he reacts to Crawford's rise.
Puts him on par with Floyd Mayweather Jr., and you know Floyd Mayweather Jr. doesn't like that. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the biggest egos in the sport, so much so that he could not find a way to give Muhammad Ali credit as being a top 5 fighter and claimed that Roberto Duran sits above Muhammad Ali, right? Why? Because Floyd wants to be better than Muhammad Ali. He completely redid his image when he became Money Mayweather to pretty much copy from calling himself the GOAT, calling himself TBE, right? Whole thing. Very disrespectful of Muhammad Ali when he was coming up, when after Floyd Mayweather Jr. wound up being at the top of the sport. So now that Terence Crawford has firmly placed himself at the top of boxing, and not just as the pound for pound fighter right now, many people are saying, hey, shouldn't he be considered one of the greatest fighters of all time? Isn't this a realistic conversation we can have? So what does that do? That butts Terence Crawford right up against Floyd Mayweather. So when Floyd was asked a series of questions, right, because Floyd is now has a fight coming up, I do believe it maybe in January. I think it may be in January or early 2026, I believe is the time frame, where Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to be fighting Mike Tyson in I believe this is going to be an exhibition.
Sean Porter spoke with Terence Crawford about what pushed him to take on challenges many thought he couldn't handle. Crawford explained that for years, critics doubted him and said he wasn't good enough to compete at the highest level. Instead of avoiding the pressure, he used it as motivation and looked for chances to prove them wrong. His wins over Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez are not only career highlights, but also personal victories that silence the doubts he has faced for so long.
It goes to him when you want to, not when he wants you to. And you know what I mean? That's how it was.
I know, I'm sorry. I know this is bad production, but we don't need you to turn that phone to the side. I know I'm thinking about Happy right now. I'm like, you know better. That's better. That's better. Go ahead, Ant. Go ahead.
Hey, but you know how, man. Me and Sean, we know you personally. I had people telling me, nah, man, this is just a money grab. He just went up there for the money. I said, man, if you know this dude, but you mentally, bro, I put you in the same category as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I'm like, he wants to be great. Y'all want the money, but want to be great. Where that come from, man?
It's just me, you know what I mean? Like, I think all the greats is just born with that competitiveness, you know? And like I said, you know, a lot of people, they didn't want me to accomplish the feat over Canelo. It wasn't that it wasn't possible. They didn't want me to be the one to do it because I was the one that they was blackballing for years. I was the one that they said, you know, wasn't gonna make it to this table. I was the one that they said couldn't sell. I was the one that they said, you know, made bad business decisions. So of course they don't want me to be the one to make it to the top and then conquer.
Porter pointed out that Crawford's mindset sets him apart, as he never avoided challenges and always chose to fight the toughest opponents. While others might have taken easier routes, Crawford wanted to prove he belonged among the best. This attitude has pushed him into the conversation of all-time greats and shows that his legacy is built not only on talent, but also on resilience and determination.
All odds, because now this is a slap in the face to every person that ever wrote a bad article about me, about anything.
Probably the best fit of all.
And a lot of people get mad at me because I said, when it comes from pound for pound that I ever seen it in my lifetime, ever, I got Floyd, then I got you. They're like, well, what about blah, blah, blah? I said, this is who I seen. I seen Bud. I seen Floyd. I can't talk about what happened in the 20s and the 40s. I can talk about what I seen now. Do you feel like, Bud, you stamped your legacy and we're going to forever say, well, you could have beat this person, you could beat that person? You feel like you did it?
Of course. It's definitely going to be, it's already written in the history books. Yeah. Like, before, everybody was already comparing me and saying things like that, but hold on. Yeah.
I know, good job.
Okay. But now, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so now he proving himself with a bigger, stronger guy in his weight division that he was undefeated in, that he was undisputed in, you know? So those things like that, you know, you can't ignore.
Hey man, how do you allow people not to put their limitations on you? Because when I gave motivation last week, I told them about like how you motivated me to start my own company. And come out, I remember you been in my living in my kitchen, motivated me to start my own company. How do you allow no one else to put their limitations on you?
Easy.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay informed. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's keep our news accurate.